So here's a wild thought. What if a 2,000-year-old text could actually give us a practical blueprint for how to love people today? I'm talking about our communities, our families, even our enemies. Well, we're going to dive into exactly that because the ancient book of Romans, chapter 12 to be specific, lays out this surprisingly detailed framework for human relationships. So let's break it down.
And it all kicks off with this one central question. We throw the word love around all the time, right? But this text, it forces us to get way more specific. What does sincere love actually look like, in practice? Not just a feeling in your gut, but something you do. That's the core question we've got to answer. So first things first, let's build the foundation. Before we can even get to the how-to, we've got to understand the what. This first part is all about the absolute core idea, what this whole blueprint is built on.
Right out of the gate, we're given a really specific word to work with. See, the original Greek doesn't just say love, it says agape. And trust me, this is not your everyday Hallmark card kind of love. It's something way, way deeper. So what is agape? Well, it's defined as a selfless, unconditional, and self-giving love. You gotta think of it less as some spontaneous emotion and more as a determined choice. It's a commitment to seek the best for other people no matter what. This right here, it's the bedrock of the entire framework.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. The text breaks down what sincere love actually means, and it's not just about being authentic or, keeping it real. It has two really active parts. First, it says to hate what is evil. And the sources are clear. This isn't about hating people, but hating the destructive actions that hurt people. And second, you have to cling to what is good. You have to actively go after what is righteous and life-giving. It's like a two-sided coin, right? You avoid one and you chase the other. All right, so once we've got that foundation locked in, the framework kind of zooms in on the first circle of application, our immediate community. Our family, our friends, the people we do life with day in and day out. What does agape look like here? And to describe this community-level love, we get another one of these specific Greek terms, philostorgos. So if agape is the big, universal principle, think of philostorgos as its specific flavor. It's that tender, devoted, almost family-like affection. It's all about creating a genuine sense of belonging. And this isn't just some warm, fuzzy feeling. It's shown through specific and, honestly, pretty countercultural actions, like honor others above yourselves. I mean, that directly challenges our instinct for self-promotion, right? The whole idea is that these behaviors, humility, passion, living in harmony, are what actually build that deep, family-like philostorgos bond. So, you might be asking, how do you keep this kind of love going when things get tough? The text gives us what you could call a triad of endurance. It's this three-part spiritual posture. Stay joyful about the future, be patient when you're going through tough times, and be constant in prayer. It's basically a recipe for resilience for the whole community. And this next part brilliantly shows how that love is supposed to extend outward. The text describes two types of practical support. First, you have koinonia, which is about taking care of your own, sharing with and supporting fellow believers who are in need. But then there's philoxenia, which literally means the love of strangers. It's a direct command to extend that exact same care and hospitality to people outside your immediate group. So love is looking both inward and outward. Okay, let's move to the next section and see how this all builds, because this is where the framework gets really, really challenging. We're pivoting from how you love your community to how you love your opponents. People in a hostile world who might even want to hurt you. And there's just no wiggle room here. The instruction is direct. And let's be honest, it's completely counterintuitive. Bless those who persecute you. Not just put up with them, not just ignore them. Actively bless them. The original Greek gives us a massive clue about what this actually means in practice. The word is eulogio. It literally means to speak well of someone. So blessing your enemy isn't some vague spiritual feeling. No, it's a conscious, active, verbal choice to say good things about them, even when every fiber of your being wants to do the exact opposite. So how on earth is that even possible? Well, this passage lays out the required mindset, and it's all based on empathy and humility. It says to share in the emotional lives of other people, rejoice when they're rejoicing, mourn when they're mourning.
It tells you to associate with people that society might look down on, and it warns you against being arrogant, against thinking you have all the answers. It's this kind of humility that makes the idea of blessing an enemy even conceivable. All right, this brings us to the final climactic principle that really ties everything we've talked about together. This is the ultimate strategy for engaging with a broken world, and it's probably the most powerful part of this whole blueprint. And this is the question that just naturally pops up, right? If you're being mistreated and getting revenge is off the table, what are you supposed to do? Just take it? Well, this passage offers a really surprising and proactive alternative. And here it is. So simple, so powerful, and so transformative. Overcome evil with good. Think about that. Don't just resist evil. Don't just avoid it. Overcome it. And the weapon you're supposed to use is good. This isn't a defensive move, it's an offensive strategy. So what does this offensive strategy actually look like on the ground? Well, it's a four-part process. First, you break the cycle. You just refuse to pay back evil with more evil. Then, you actively try to live at peace with people. The third step is an internal one. You let go of your personal need for revenge. And finally, the most radical move of all, you engage in proactive kindness towards your enemy. You feed them, you give them a drink. The goal here isn't just to be nice, it's to completely disarm their hostility with the one thing it never saw coming: generosity. Now, before you think this is totally impossible, the source material points to some pretty intense historical examples. The story of Stephen from the book of Acts is the ultimate illustration of this. I mean, as he was literally being executed by his enemies, his final words were a prayer asking God to forgive them. It's a really stark picture of this principle in action. And this isn't just some ancient history thing. The source material brings up a modern story about a homeless man who, it turns out, used to be a CEO. And the lesson from his story is this: the key is guarding your own integrity and treating everyone with respect, no matter what their situation is. It's about overcoming evil by refusing to let it poison you or compromise your own honor. And that leaves us with this final, really challenging thought. This entire blueprint is built on a radical idea that goes against almost all of our deepest instincts for self-preservation and revenge. So, what if? What if the best way to fight darkness isn't with more darkness? What if it's with the unexpected, disarming, and world-changing power of good? That's the question Romans 12 really leaves us to wrestle with.